Usually I would do a dragons and mermaid reading live, but and an intuition test that from a pre-recorded session. However, I want to bring some awareness to Wicca because I got a really rude comment while I was trying to do the dragons and mermaid reading, and they started off by asking about the symbolism that is presented right here. And at first they weren't specific because there are plenty of symbols on here. I mean, there's the moon phases that are right here, the triple moon phases, which are right here, the triskeletal, which is right here, and this is, I said a pentagram, which technically that is a pentagram that's in the middle, but it's also a triple moon. This is supposed to be also to represent the full moon, and it's a pentacle. Which is, so is this. This is also a pentacle, even though it's slightly outside of its circle. So the moon phases are, they're basically, there's the full moon right there. These are your crescent moons, and these are your gibbous moons. And then that's your new moon, actually. And there's your full moon. The different moon phases, we basically work on different goals. Oh, and this right here is just a tarot mat. This is just an altar cloth. That is desert rose. That's a lotus flower. That is selenite, a selenite tower. Okay. So the different phases, like the new moon right here, you would set your intention on. And then the full moon right here, you would work on your goals. And basically, it's just basically all goal oriented. Like, you're starting off from the new moon, and then you're setting your intentions right there. You write these intentions on a bay leaf. You can put it in a fire, or you can burn it as it is, or you don't even have to use a bay leaf. You can use anything. I use my tablet. You can use a piece of paper. It's endless on how you can set your intentions, or you can just think of it in your mind and just have that goal set in your mind, even if you don't have anything to work with. Okay. Welcome, everybody. This is Wicca Awareness. Due to yesterday's comment, I am explaining Wicca, but that's not the only subject I'm going to cover tonight, just so you guys can get to know me a little bit as well. Anything rude is going to possibly be ignored, or if it's not too bad, I may just answer it. I actually have more energy today than I did yesterday. Yesterday my energy was depleted and I could not do this in a live yesterday, so here we go. Okay, now we were at the new moon. The new moon is where you set your intentions, like I said, and you can use any material, including your own mind. The point is to set your intention. You can use affirmations. It's your journal. Basically, songs, tarot. I mean, you name it. I don't know what 2K is. Okay, so when you set your intentions, the phases after the moon, right up leading up into the full moon, you can do that. No, it's not the portal to the devil, which I will get to later. Okay, so leading up to the full moon, you are setting your intentions. And then right here, which is the full moon, is you are tuning in to your intentions, and you're basically letting go anything that doesn't serve you right up into the dark moon, which is the day before the new moon. Full setting. That's it. It's goal setting according to your, according to, whatever religion that you are. You don't have to be Wicca. I'm Wicca, and I will explain my story in just a little while. But wanted to explain the symbolism of the board before we moved on. So, okay, we talked about the moons. Now this is the triple moon. A lot of people use this. A lot of Wiccans and stuff use this, or witches. I mean, just because you're Wiccan doesn't mean you're a witch, and just because you're a witch doesn't mean you're Wiccan. Everybody's diverse around there, and a lot of people don't like to be called witches. That's just fine. It has many different names. Okay, so this is called the triple moon, which stands for the goddess. And Wiccas actually do believe in God. They just don't believe he's a single parent. And they believe in a different deity, and some believe in many different deities. It's really up to the individual. That's what I like about this path, is there's no really set in stone thing. It's basically pretty much very diverse. Very freeing and very diverse. This right here is the triskeletal. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, to be honest with you. This is basically, see how this is for the goddess, or a lot of the female practitioners, they're the ones who use that, and males do too, but these are the ones that they do. The triskeletal is the male equivalent to this right here. I can't remember. For the life of me, I cannot remember what it stands for. I think it's Sun, the Sage, and I cannot remember the third one. I am so sorry, guys. I just can't remember. I usually don't associate with the symbol very much. Now, the symbols you see here, that is a pentacle. And right here, if you take away the circle, it's a pentagram. Pentagrams are not devil worshipping. Pentagrams and pentacles stand for the 5 elements: earth, wind, fire, and water. And these right here, the little wood things, besides this one, this is spirit, stands for earth, wind, fire, water. They stand for the symbols. And believe it or not, the Christians actually used the pentagram for quite a while. They also used a triquetra, which I have here. The triquetra, which is also made in mother crown. Oops. I done fell over. That crystal right there, by the way, is desert rose. In case none of you. Okay. I don't know what you mean. We're not talking about Jesus in this. I will let you know my story on the church in a little bit, but not right now. Okay, so now that we got the symbols cleared away, we were questioning about the tarot, the people on the tarot. Now, this is artwork, guys. It's artwork. It's not, and these are tarot cards. Tarot was originally used by kings and queens, and yes, I do magic. They do, a long time ago, the Christians are the ones who used them. And some Christians still use them. And not everybody who deals in tarot cards are into witchcraft or Wicca. Some of them are light workers. Some of them go to church every Sunday. It's a card game, guys. It's divination. It depends on what they believe in. It's really an open. It's open. These here are oracle cards. These are not the same thing as these. While these have basically the same meaning, these do not. there are a lot of different oracle cards, just like there is a lot of different tarot cards. The general meaning is basically the same thing. I'm not understanding your question. I'm not understanding your question. The Myths and Magic is just one oracle deck. When we change over to the autumn promotions, I'm actually going to be doing just oracle. So I won't be doing the tarot. Yes, actually I believe he's an ascended master, which I will get to my beliefs here in just a bit while I explain the tarot and the magic, or the oracle cards. I was actually drawn to divination pretty far into my spiritual journey. Okay, so these characters right here that you see, they are not demons or anything like that. The artist names them strangelings. They're called strangelings. They look like little baby dolls. I love little baby dolls. I will explain my path here in a little bit. So yeah, these are strangelings like here, and all of the cards that are dealt with this author. I mean, I have more oracle cards and more tarot cards that are not of this author. They just happen to be my favorite ones, and I wanted to share them. They are, you can get a reading from them. I just actually got some good news today. I will be able to get a platform and start building classes. So yay. All right. So now that you know all that, now I'm going to explain to you why my path that everybody. Yes, we are praying for every place that needs prayers as far as like violence goes. Actually, there's a couple of stories that I can bring up. I didn't know this person. I think his name is Charles Kirk. That recently got shot. Some witches have stated that this is karma, but everybody is different in the community, and I don't believe in violence. Therefore, I didn't believe in anybody of that role. I believe in equality, and I believe in non-violent ways to handle problems. So no, I do not believe he deserved to get shot. I don't believe anybody deserves to get shot, regardless of their opinion, and regardless of my opinion about the people. Also, there's another one, a Ukrainian woman who got killed on a subway, I believe, yes, I live in America. She was visiting, I believe, North Carolina. I'm sorry if I get the details wrong. And this guy just stabbed her in the neck, like several times. And just I guess he had some mental health issues. And no, it didn't seem like nobody would help her. But at the same time, these people around her could have been shell-shocked. We want to believe we would do the right thing in that situation and go help her, and because she wound up dying. But there might have not been anything anybody could have done, and I feel bad for the poor girl. Thank you. Thank you. I love the Gothic look too. That's why I have them as my logo. All right. So yes, we pray for everybody who is going through violent acts. Definitely. Okay. So I'm going to explain a little bit about my background as far as Wicca goes and as far as the company goes. The company is called Death and Roses, it stands for, death does not necessarily mean death. I named the death and death after the tarot card death, which means transformation. And it has a little Grim Reaper on it, but not all of them have Grim Reapers on it. Like the tarot has a tarot reader on it, and the magic part of the business actually has a little witch on it. The main logo does have a Grim Reaper on it, and roses is for the healing, because roses have many different names, or not many different names, many different types that mean many different things. And one of the common things they do have in common is healing. So it means healing, it means love, it means light, it means, just about anything a rose could possibly mean. Friendship, community, divinity. Okay. I don't need to pray for myself when it comes to violence, because I don't do violent acts. Yeah. Okay, now back to my story. I am not going to look at the comments as I need to tell it rather than answer anybody's questions. So just stand through the strangeling's eyes, I guess. All right, so I grew up in a Christian household, very strict, fanatic Christian household. I went to school, Sunday school, that is. I went to church every Sunday, sang in the choir every Wednesday and Sunday morning. My mother shamed me. If I did something wrong, she would tell me that God was ashamed of me. Anything wrong. It could be as simple as not taking the trash out. So when I think of the church, with the way my mom was, I wasn't interested in continuing her beliefs. As far as I was concerned, that traumatized me. When I was 16 is when do not preach to me, please. When I was 16 is when I first started learning about witchcraft. I was kind of scared to try it out because I knew my mother would flip out. She would flip out. So I very rarely dabbled in it. I didn't really study it very much at all. I just felt drawn to it. And that was the beginning of it. But going on down the road as I matured, I actually wound up marrying a preacher's son. But the thing of it is, then leave if you rebuke me in the name of Jesus. Go, leave, get out of the live. I rebuke you. No, I think I can, actually. Bye. There. Quit preaching to me. You don't know what people go through when it comes to religion. You need to stop doing that. Because the story I'm telling you is about my path. Okay. All right. Anyways, as I was saying before I was rudely interrupted. Okay. As I got older, I wound up marrying a preacher's son. And he was abusive to me for 5 years. His dad was a preacher. And he beat his wife. Just because you go to Sunday and say all pretty words or preach, say Jesus is, doesn't mean you're a good person. Sorry, but it doesn't. Yeah, called by mermaids to faint. Look at that. That was funny. They are actually, that deck is really interesting. You think you're getting into like a positive deck when they'll tell you how it is. It's kind of funny. They even have reversals in that. Okay. I was 17 years old when I met a 23-year-old man. I didn't realize he was grooming me at the time because I was unaware of such things. My mother did not warn me of these types of people. She was too busy shoving the Bible down my throat. Yeah. There are worse people out there than those who practice magic. When you go bother them? Okay. So yes, this man was grooming me. And unfortunately, I was too ignorant of the world's ways to notice this. A preacher's son. So I dated this man out of fear of what he would do with me because he also threatened everybody around me. And when he did this, I reluctantly went out with him. Boy, did I regret that. What I should have done was report him. That's what I should have done. But I thought, he's a preacher's son. I mean, maybe just God's way of bringing us together. Right. Later down the line, not even a year into this relationship, we were going to his church. Grant you, at this time, I was barely 18. Legal, yes, but still barely 18. So I was pretty innocent-minded. This church said that I was to marry this guy or to get out. And it wasn't just him. I got ganged up on by him, his parents, and the church, pressuring me to marry the guy that I was with, and I was only 18 years old. Barely turned 18. I wound up marrying him. The other alternative was to go someplace where I had no family. So not only did they isolated me. That's abuse. I was religiously being abused, and I didn't even realize it until much, much later. Sorry, this story is really hard for me to tell. I don't really like telling it. But I am for the sake of the business and the sake of my sanity, I guess you could say. And for all witches, really, who are getting tired of dealing with these kind of accusations. Okay. So after of course it led to 5 years, going on 6 years of abuse from this man. So they pushed me into an abusive relationship. And I didn't divorce him because I thought it was against God's rule. Until I stood up for myself. And I said, no, I'm not doing this. This is wrong. So skip my next relationship after him. He wasn't into religion. But I felt betrayed. That's what I felt. I felt betrayed. I felt like I didn't feel good about myself. I didn't feel good about the church. I felt like I was lied to all my life. That's what it felt like. So going down the years, the relationship after him lasted another 5 years, which was like going into the fire pit because he was abusive too. The only difference was in this relationship, I found myself, my true self. I reached my breaking point when this man had threw the table across the kitchen on Thanksgiving Day, all because I wanted to make sure everybody had enough food to eat. And when I took off from him to get away from him and his violent behavior, he chased me down. I closed the bathroom and barricaded it, and he was trying to kick the door down. I was hyperventilating. I was crying so hard. That night, I tried to end my life. And I'm not going to name this, but a music band came on after he stopped kicking the door, and I could hear my music playing in the other room. I had the blade to my wrist, mind you, when I was hearing this. And I couldn't hear what was playing at first until the bridge and the lyrics from that song. Not only did it make me put down the blade, but some of you already know this story if you know me. Some of you may not. But not only did it help me that day, it also gave me purpose. I wound up listening to the call that my intuition was so prominent in showing me. I studied, first it was psychology. One of them was psychology. And I actually enrolled into child psychology classes. It's the first time I ever went to college. And I always loved child development, so that was just perfect for me. Now, the other one was Wicca. I didn't really know too much about Wicca, but later on, about 2 years prior to that incident, I bought some books and did some of the practices, and that's as far as it went. I didn't really take it too seriously just yet. It was kind of a bounce back and forth kind of thing for a little bit, but this time was different. And I looked a little bit more into it and started looking into the community. You know, I felt more welcomed in that community than I did in church. Than I ever did in church. And I said the prayers to get saved. I said I got baptized. I did all of it. But nothing made me feel more welcome than Wicca. I was not traumatized by Wicca. And witchcraft actually isn't a religion. It is a practice. It's a way of living. It's the oldest form of religion. Not religion, but practice. And it's not evil. Actually, they don't believe in the Christian Satan. Satanists don't even believe in the Christian Satan. That is completely made up. So there's that. That's what I meant when I said I would get to it. You don't have to be Wiccan to follow me. You just have to keep an open mind and not preach to me. I believe, it's not just Wiccan, Wicca I believe in. I'm actually a spiritual witch. And I believe in the Wiccan Rede, which says, do ye as you wish, but do no harm. And that's what I do. Nothing that I cast causes harm to anyone. There is also I also believe in the karmic law 3, where if you do something, then you get it back times 3. Whether that be something good or something bad. It's really up to the deed. There's good karma too. As well as lessons that you need to learn. I don't even want to call it bad karma. I want to call it lessons that need to be learned. But I had nobody pressure me into Wicca. I had nobody pressure me into marrying such and such a person to fit their religion. I don't have to preach about it. I want everybody to be themselves on here, but I don't want to be insulted just like anybody else doesn't want to be insulted. I don't go to a church and insult all of you for being in a pew on Sunday. You know, you shouldn't be insulting anybody who only has the best intentions. You know, I one time in this relationship that I was talking about where the guy had such a violent temper. Both of them had violent tempers, but the one I'm talking about is the non-married, when we weren't married. He brought me to a drumming. It was actually shamanism. He knew people that the guy was a shaman and his wife was Wiccan. So I went to this drumming. You know, I felt more spiritual in that drumming than I did church, than I ever did in church. But I still felt spirit. And that was what I was looking for. I was looking to feel spirit. And that was the similar feeling that I did feel in church. I felt spirit. And honestly, at first I thought, well, maybe just everything is the same thing, we're just calling it different names. Which, you know, is kind of true and kind of not true. But everybody is different. Everybody practices different in Wicca and in witchcraft and in, you know, spirituality. So I'm going to get to the spirituality part. So Wicca, they have this thing where you can do a year and a day. I actually did not take this for quite a while, much later than that relationship had lasted. I got married again and had 2 children. That was another mistake, another abusive situation. But that situation only empowered me more, I guess you could say. But it wasn't until 2013 where I was taking it seriously. So this ring right here, hold on, let me get it right. This ring right here, let me get into focus. Hold on. Actually, hang on one second. We're going to go in the middle of the cross, and I'm going to take it off so you can actually see it. Okay, here it is. Get into focus. This is my Wiccaning ring. This is when I went completely in. Okay. So hold on, I'm going to put it back on because it's like a wedding band. I basically married Wicca here. And that's when I did the self-devotion quite a while back before I got that ring, but to me that meant that I was serious about this, and this was definitely for me. But I still winded up going on a year and a day, and I'm telling you, the studying never stopped. Here it is, 2025, and I'm still studying. And what started out as, you know, Wiccan books or stuff about witchcraft continued on into spirituality and self-help books, like in both psychology and spirituality. So I always thought that was interesting that I also went the spirituality route, which made me a spiritual witch as well. And I adopted, you know, non-violent ways to handle situations. Okay, so I started off learning about empaths, which I found out I was an intuitive empath. Through my studies. I didn't know this. That explains a lot. It explains why I was emotional so much. And when I did certain things, it would release, like grounding exercises, I would release a bunch of emotions that necessarily weren't my own. That did explain that, and certain other things like being sensitive to the unknown, for example. But it started off with those, which, you know, I'm talking beyond the Wiccan books and everything. And it continued on to other spiritual books, such as divination books, that I did not even dabble into until much, much later. We're talking 2017 later, which I'll get into that here in a minute. I can't remember all the books that I read because I read so many books. At one time I was pregnant, and then my baby had wound up dropping early, and I was reading like 10 books a day, or not a day, a week. I'm sorry, a week, 10 books a week, just you know, to keep me entertained, because he wound up putting me on bed rest, and I couldn't really do much of anything, and we didn't have a television, so we wound up going to the library and grabbing some books, and I must have read that whole entire spirituality, paranormal, supernatural, self-help section in the library, probably for the next two libraries. It was an interesting time. That actually led to an awakening after my kid was born, my son. I think there was something very special about him too. It actually led to a double awakening, a double spiritual awakening. But I'm not going to get into that second one, because it has to do with a certain somebody that I don't want to talk about on here, because this isn't about him. I learned a lot through the books that I read and the community that I associate with. And they've got to be the most accepting, diverse, loving group I have ever been around in my entire life. Which is why I would never stop Wicca, or never stop doing what I'm doing. And yeah, I do know there are negative entities out there, and I take precautions every day. In fact, I'm wearing one. It's called a fairy symbol. It's a fairy star. If you knew me in springtime, you'd know that I did fairy divination. I'll go a little bit beyond just fairy divination with me. Also around my neck is the phoenix. I'm not going to turn the camera around, but it's the phoenix, which stands for rebirth. I was reborn a lot. I was reborn with spirituality more than I was in a church house. And I did shadow work that actually healed me better than therapy. I've done, my path led me down ordainment. I became a priestess. But I became a priestess of paganism. And a priestess of Wicca, a master of Wicca. I got ordained so that way if I were to, find a couple or something, or if I ran into a couple that needed to get married, I could do it for them. That is the only reason why I got ordained, is so I can be a priestess, and as far as I can preach, basically, if I choose to. I actually choose not to gather a coven, but technically I could rent a building or buy a building, and it would all be legal, and I can marry people there and everything. But I choose to be solitary because I guess, I don't know, I've never really liked organized religion very much, even though Wicca and paganism are considered religions. I'm not really religious. I'm a lot more spiritual than I am religious. So I don't want to do organized religion. It's not to say anything against anyone who does do coven work. I mean, I'm sure it has its perks. I'm sure, it's great to have friends that are like-minded, and I am looking for people like that, which, it would be great. It would be. I've been doing things my way for a while, and I think I want to keep it that way. But, you never know. This could lead up to having my own coven. I could wind up having my own online community of like-minded people. And I would not pressure my beliefs onto them, nor did I expect them to pressure, push their beliefs onto me. Really, that is the way witches and Wiccans should be. Everybody's different. Everybody has their own individual path. Okay. So yeah, it was just one thing led to another. I mean, I studied a lot of different types of magic, like fire magic, like candle magic, candles, crystals. Crystals, I absolutely love. I fell in love with them quite a bit. I have so many crystals. Which reminds me, a class. I'm not sure when I'm going to launch a crystal class, but a class is going to be launched really soon for crystals and for other forms of magic and other forms of learning and healing. It was a while. I want to say 2020. Well, actually, I don't want to get into that yet. I want to get into what led me to divination. That's what I want to get into. But along that way, I did learn a lot of different forms of magic. And I continue to learn more forms of magic. And I'm probably still going to continue to learn all forms of magic because my learning really never stops. It just continued. That's why I decided to make things official and become a priestess. I don't want to say high priestess because that's more like coven talk. So I'm just going to say priestess and leave it at that. Okay, so let's fast forward to 2017. So during 2017, I got thrown into a interesting situation where I was thrown into the public eye a little bit, not so much as a celebrity as it was fangirling a celebrity, a favorite band, basically the same band that saved my life. And I really liked the singer of this band. So that was interesting. But it's not about them. That's not why I got into divination. I got into divination from a death of another singer during 2017. I was devastated. I grew up with this singer that had died. And I noticed that the singer that I was, I guess you could say following closely, fangirling loudly, I don't know how to put that. He was friends with this guy. So that just broke my heart even more. So during that day, I was completely bummed out. The reading has been canceled. This is actually about Wicca Awareness. That's what it's titled. And I will get to the comments again. I will get to the comments when I'm done. Right now I'm telling my story on how all this occurred. Okay, so in 2017, I went to the metaphysical shop where I wasn't going to buy anything. I just needed to stand in the corner with all the crystals where it would just take my stress away. Just standing there. I can't even begin to explain it. But I would stand there and just relax. That's what I needed. I just needed to ground and just relax. But I didn't wind up going there at all. I wandered the store. Didn't have any intention of buying anything. And I wound up at the divination, like where they sold the tarot and oracle cards. And I kept staring at this one deck. It was called Chrysalis Tarot, which actually is a non-traditional deck. So it was interesting that, I was drawn to that particular one. to begin with, because it wasn't even the Rider-Waite deck. It was a non-traditional deck. Which, in my opinion, now that I've done tarot, I noticed that each of them have their own set of personality. Even though there is a generalization, meaning they all have their own type of personality. Different writers, different themes. But anyways, I was never into divination before then. So it's just, I find it interesting that it took somebody to die in order for me to get drawn to that type of work. And now I wield like over 30 decks between tarot and oracle. But that wasn't the only thing I was drawn to that night. When I decided to go ahead and purchase it and to see what it was about, look into it a bit, maybe go online, look at the history. Didn't have to. The history was actually in that deck. Sorry, I thought I heard something in the kitchen. I was also drawn to a lotus flower. It was a chakra bracelet that had a lotus flower on it. So, and I never really got into the lotus flower, even though I did the chakras as a form of meditation. I never was drawn to the flower itself. This was the first for me, which that bracelet will have relevance, because I dreamt of basically the meaning to the lotus flower in a spiritual way. Okay. Anywho. So when I went back home, I dabbled into it a bit, and I liked it. But later then I realized that, just like with anything, when it comes to certain things, you have to take your precautions. You do have to take your precautions. Okay, you guys are going to have to excuse me for just a second. I actually need to give my son some medicine. So I'm just going to put that there. It's just going to be blank real quick. I will be right back. I'll let you have it for a little bit longer. Mm-hmm. Okay, I am back. Sorry about that. I have my son's medicine has to be on time. It's very important, so I have a little bit. One second. Okay. So I'm going to put a little warning. If you start preaching to me, I mean, I don't care how much you feel you need to tell me this. I've suffered through religious abuse. Please do not preach to me. I found what I needed to find. Okay? Thank you. Just like you don't like to hear about certain things, I don't like to hear about certain things. And you don't have to come on this channel to tell me these things that you wish to tell me. Use your own channel. Anywho, I think I was in the 2017 mark. So yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting that I was drawn to that. And when, unfortunately, the guy that I was talking about, where I really liked him from the other band, he had died also in 2017. So that was very heartbreaking. That was a very heartbreaking year, and for me to get drawn to divination was really telling. So I actually started learning a lot about magic, and I learned not the Magic the Gathering, but magic, Wicca, but it didn't just end there. It wasn't just about that. I also got drawn to light work and shadow work. Shadow work helped me heal a lot. It basically dug deep into the core of my trauma and helped me deal with it in such a way that therapy never helped. Never helped. Actually, therapy didn't help me at all. They just wanted to give me pills and stick me in a corner. Yeah, not helpful. Or they basically had me repeating my childhood over and over and over and over and over and over again, and then switch therapists. Yeah, not very reliable. Where, you know, shadow work, I was on my own, and I found my creative outlet when I was like young, but it just came out big time when I started my shadow work. Light work, I was drawn to a lot of the stuff that I had learned in Wicca, like herbalism, candle magic, essential oils, crystals, chakra systems, yoga, meditation. I wanted to be basically certified in everything I learned in Wicca, and make it legal. This is what I wanted to do for a living. Like, this was my calling. This is what exactly up my alley, and this is what I wanted to do. I didn't want to do, it didn't work. Even up until now, it didn't work for me in a regular work setting. I wanted my own business. I wanted my own spiritual business, and that's what I always wanted to do. And that's what I am striving to do. It is starting off in tarot and oracle, but it's not limited to just tarot and oracle. I wanted to be a spiritual life coach. And I just counted my certifications, and I found out that I'm certified in 18 different niches. This includes childcare, but so if you didn't want to count childcare, it's 17. 17 different niches, different ways of approaching a career in life coaching. That was my son in the background. He's laughing at a video. But that is where I'm at right now. I'm building a career of the things that I learned through Wicca, but in a legal sense, to where I can teach others and heal. A lot of those niches are in healing. But shadow work is something that I definitely want to teach people how to do, and learning about crystals, learning about candles, how to put all of them together to make a spell or to set an intention, stuff like that. That's what I want for this business. I come on here because these are my freebies, not to be disrespected, not to be preached to. I'm not interested in being preached to. So save it, or I'll just kick you off, or ignore your comments, because there is a, you know, little split here that I can ignore your comments forever. Sorry, I do have to keep my notifications on just in case. But yes, that is what I am striving for. And it's up to you guys if you want to show up and listen. If you want to, you know, participate in a reading, in a free reading. I'm doing free readings to this deck for now. 1 second. The other one fell. To this deck, which, as I said, this is the Beautiful Creatures deck, and these little characters right here are called changelings. There's like different types of changelings. Like that looks like a butterfly fairy, and this is a mermaid changeling. I think they're so cute because they look like doll babies. And wouldn't you just love to own one of these things as a doll baby? They're so adorable. This is the summer promotion. This is good until, that's why I call it Dragons and Mermaids, because see the little dragon right there? When you get a little dragon, I think there's like 3 or 4 cards that are dragons in this deck. You get which by the way, I come every day on here. Oh, this one just does not want to stand up. We're just going to put this right there and put the lotus flower over here. Okay. This one right here, I do readings for every day. This Saturday, I'm going to do a reading from here. So that way you can get an idea on what the free reading is about, and that's going to be a special that I do on Saturday. I will send a reminder. I will definitely send a reminder. Okay, so basically, you can come on here and get a reading, and I'll put, hey, yo, there's a dragon in this reading. Make sure you put in the comments dragons and mermaids to get your free reading, because if you don't put dragons and mermaids, then you won't get a reading from this deck. Absolutely free. This is an oracle deck. Okay. Okay. So, and then there is the the request that you can get a free reading with any layout from this deck. And if you get a dragon, then you get a free, excuse me, my voice is starting to go. You can also get a free reading with any layout from this deck. This is free, by the way. And it will last all year for that promotion. But the ones that are done live are only going to last until the 23rd of this month, because then my fall promotions are going to start. So it's really up to you to request a reading. You can comment and request a reading. You can message me on social media. It's basically the same name, Death and Roses, with a rose in the middle, and then Crimson Rose. Okay, Crimson Rose. Let me explain how that is actually my username. I go by that. It's also my pen name for my books. I'm also an author. If you can't find it from Crimson Rose, try Crimson Autumn Rose. I adopted the name Autumn also. last autumn, actually. I love that season. Really can't wait for the weather, to be honest with you. This is like near the end of the live. It's called Wicca Awareness. You're probably gonna have to go back and wait until it drops because I said a lot. But yes, I do have a blog and a website that has all the prices and all the decks that I have, which I believe is on YouTube. I believe. If it's not, then I will post it shortly, because I know I put it out there, and it is on my. No, I'm not Muslim. It is on my my social media. Sorry, I'm getting tired. I think my social battery is about out. Okay, I am going to go and recharge before I have to switch over my laundry and do my dishes. You guys have a awesome day. The readings will continue tomorrow. So out of this deck, again, they're called Strangelings. Not all my decks have Strangelings, but those are Strangelings. You guys have a good day, and thank you again. Okay. Thank you again for attending. If you are watching this recorded, thank you for viewing it. Again, watch out for the promotions. I kind of have an idea what I'm doing for autumn. I'm thinking about doing a Strangeling, a Strangeling thing with the autumn decks. But I don't know, though. I don't know. I'm thinking like witches, vampires, and shapeshifters. What do you guys think for autumn? All right. Well, thank you for joining me, and have a good night. Blessed be.